Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Andrea Hylen to talk about her article in the November-December issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. Andrea, before we have that conversation about your article, tell our viewers a little bit about you and your work.
A few things I'll share today are I'm a developmental writing coach. I have an annual offering program. I hesitate. It's not a program. It's actually a space called the Incubator, an online co-working space for women creatives. And it's a space where women are working on creativity projects and all. So that's one of my passions. That's actually closed for the year. There will be another one next fall. And I am an ancestral lineage healing practitioner, something I'm really passionate about. I also am the mother of 3 adult daughters. I have 3 grandchildren now because I have a new one who just came October 13th. And yeah, those are a few things to know about me. Oh, and I live house free. I live a house free digital nomadic lifestyle.
Wow.
I'm
I think that's a
currently,
conversation we should have sometime on the Real Women Real
yeah.
Purpose talk show, just to talk about this whole idea of what does that mean and how do you do it? And because I
Well,
think when people hear that, they're really curious.
it's certainly a conscious self-evolution idea, and it was kind of an experiment. I won't go into a lot of detail. I'll just say that it was something I thought I was going to do for 1 year. And I'm really grateful that I did not have the insight that it was going to be 9+ years now, because I think I would have been overwhelmed and scared by that idea. But 1 year at a time, it's always a little different and has been really good for me. Yeah.
Well, it certainly looks good from where I sit. It seems like you're thriving with it.
Uh-huh.
So you've been writing a series of articles about conscious self-evolution, and the one in the November-December issue is the 5th out of 10, and it's called Reside in the Quantum Field. So let's start by telling our viewers, what do you mean by conscious evolution? What is that?
You know, we've kind of gone into this every month, and I'm pausing a little bit to just see if there's something that comes up that really wants to be spoken into the field. All right, what I want to say is conscious is about actually being aware of the way that you are living your life. You know, Ginny, we recently had a conversation about technology, and in that conversation there was an awareness of it was a conscious conversation. It wasn't just like, oh, I want this, I'm going to do this. It was, do I need this? Is it useful? Would it benefit? And then looking at what would be the harm. So conscious self-evolution is that you just become more conscious in your life and see how things are naturally evolving in your life. Are you going to hold on to things that you've always done? Or are you going to notice when something is no longer working for you and you're going to make changes? So I do believe self-evolution means you're going to change. Life is going to change. You're going to respond to those changes. So there's a few things that are just coming through today. Yeah.
Thank you. I like that. I think it's a really kind of succinct, I don't want to say dumbed down, but simple. Simple is a better word. Explanation of that, because it can be a really complicated topic if we get too deep too quick, I think, or expect to do it all at one time, or start trying to figure out, well, what do I need to change in my life? And the way you talk about conscious self-evolution is it's more about noticing what's coming up, not forcing change. Is that
Right.
a good description of that?
It is,
Okay.
because things are going to change
Yeah.
and things are changing. And certainly we've all had an experience in the past few years of big changes that happened, and then getting a chance to look at our lives.
Mm-hmm.
With, yeah, there's a chance for really some self-evaluation, you know.
And so when we're open to conscious self-evolution, when we're conscious about our evolution or about the changes that are happening, we maybe make choices that are less painful. Maybe we make, I mean, why does it matter? I guess is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, it's a hard question to
It
answer
is.
actually, because I just live my life so much by following my intuition and
Mhm.
guidance that I think, why wouldn't you want to live like that? Because it just feels like, it's kind of like you could be in a boat on the river, and let's say you're in a canoe and you're paddling along, and all of a sudden there's a log in front of you, and you're like, no, I have to go this way, and I'm going to struggle with this log. I'm going to try to make my boat go over the log. I'm going to be, instead of going, oh, actually, if I go over here, it looks like there's a clearer path. Oh, look, there's something down there that I didn't even think of before. I'm going to paddle this way. And then you look back and you go, oh my gosh, that log, if I had moved it, I was about to go over a cliff.
Mhm.
And so there's a point where, I don't know if this is answering exactly, but the feeling that I'm getting is you can try to push past things or try to resist instead of just being more conscious of what is actually happening around you, what doors are opening, what opportunities are there that you didn't even realize, but because you trusted and you followed that other path where the door was open, something amazing happened, you know?
Oh, that was a right on kind of answer, I think. So easy to
Okay.
understand. And because we face those logs every day, every moment, sometimes there's always some kind of log out there, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we get the opportunity to make a choice about it.
Yep.
So. And so I'm going to tell everybody watching that be sure you go back to the On Purpose Woman magazine. And I'm going to put the links will be in the chat, not the chat, I'm sorry. The links will be in the text of the video for both the magazine and our archives, because you can go back and read Andrea's prior articles where she goes into detail about some other aspects of conscious evolution. But as I mentioned, this particular article is called Residing in the Quantum Field. What does that mean? What does quantum field mean for those who may
I
not
know.
know?
I know. Do you want to know something? I want to say to the listeners, this was a really hard article to write.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, first of all, Anna did an amazing job on selecting the photos for it, because I felt like when I saw the images that she had in the magazine, I was like, oh my gosh, she got it. Like she understood what I was trying to convey. You know, so the quantum field to me is like we're in, I think of it as we're in a field of energy.
Mhm.
And here's a maybe an easy way to think about it. When you hang out with a group of people, you tend to build, I would say, an energy in that community of people. On Purpose Woman is an example of that. The connections over coffee. People coming in and being a part of that. We're building a field and we're tapping into something that, because we're all there, there's an even greater energy that's available to us. And so that someone shares something and that actually ignites something in you that's an idea. And so the quantum field, I mean, you know what, Google it and go down a rabbit hole, but it's like trying to describe faith
Mhm.
to someone, or an energy field that is bigger than us. And so some people might call that God got us all that is. Some people might call it, universal intelligence, the great mystery. There's something, it's like there's this knowing that I have of being in fields of energy. To me, the incubator that I have every year. It's so interesting. We had a community call today, and I was talking about how one of the themes that's really coming up lately is visibility. This is coming up in individual calls with each of the women. It wasn't a group sharing, it was a pattern that I was seeing. So we're in this quantum field that is, yeah, it's greater than us. Yeah. I don't know. I can't even remember if I found words for it in the article. So go to the article, but it was one of the reasons that I struggled so much with writing this article, was trying to come up with examples of when I've been aware that there's something greater that I'm tapped into, this field. Yeah.
I think you just gave a really good explanation of you've got different women talking to you individually, and they're all talking about visibility. They've all been in this incubator together, but not really talking about visibility within that. But there's an energy there that's fostering that conversation.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I
We're
think
all
that's,
tapped into it.
yeah, we're all tapped into it. And, for me, it's like, it can be as simple as when I just get this idea. I get this idea, and then something else happens that tells me why I just got, or reinforces why I just had that idea, or why I had this idea last week, because something else shows up, because somebody else has that idea, or something will come in my email that reinforces that. So I think for me, it's just paying attention to all that comes in, and which is consciously evolving, right? It's all about, it's really, yeah. So,
and instead of trying to describe what it is, for people to become aware of when those things happen. Right now, every year in the incubator, I choose a topic that I'm going to write about for 100 days. And it's actually, I'm putting into, for 100 days in the group, I put in a narrative with questions and then questions. It's about 1,000 words that I write every day and put into that. And I've created a Word document with some ideas, but I've set the intention that I'm going to write about this, and there's going to be a subtopic every day. And what starts to happen when you set an intention like that, information starts coming. But what I've noticed, I'm into this, I just started week 5. So I'm like 30 days I've written about out of the 100. And I was watching something on Netflix about the Bhopal disaster. It was a chemical disaster in 1984 in a part of India. And so I'm watching this, and I push pause, and I had decided I was going to take a break because it was four episodes, and I was going to go read something out of a book that's another book I'm just reading. And I turn 2 pages into it, and they're talking about the Bhopal disaster. Whoa, I just got chills on that. And it's like certain things start to get your attention. And because I'm writing this flip the script, and I'm writing about different things, I'm like, okay, what is it in here for me to learn? So I look a little bit closer, and honestly, I don't know what the connection is to what I'm writing about yet, but I've made notes on it, or notes about things that are coming up. And I know that it will present itself, and I'll be, oh, this is where I need to share this information. Okay, now I understand what it is.
Thank you for that. I think everybody watching this has got a better idea if they didn't already. A lot of people watching this already knew things, I think. And I think just because it is a simple process, it's just not something that we talk about a lot out there in sort of the mainstream world. You've been referencing in your articles the Barbara Marx Hubbard's book, Barbara Marx Hubbard's book,
Mm.
52 Codes for Self-Evolution. In this article, you talk about Code 15. Would you say a few words about the codes and what they mean? I mean, why the codes? And then talk a little bit about Code 15 and how it ties into this whole idea of quantum field.
Sure. So Barbara was just such an amazing woman who really brought us so much information. She is deceased now. I think it was a few years ago that she died. And she was like 89, 90. It left us so much information. But one of the things in her studies over, I don't know, I think it was in the 1950s, she started to really question what was good about these different powers that we had, like what was good about nuclear power and the atomic bomb, and what was it good about having these powers. So she started asking some deep questions, and what she began to see was these different patterns of things that were showing up. And so like one of the codes that I talked about in the early time, I think it was code 3, was flashes of freedom, that you start having these flashes of an idea. And what she talked about was these codes, these 52 codes would appear, and it was like a spiral. So it's not that you get one flash of freedom, it's that this is just part of the flashes of freedom that then activates more of your life purpose, that helps to that you surrender within that. And there were these predictable patterns of things that were showing up. And so this particular code, see yourself as a universal presence manifesting in physical form. So it's important to see that you as a human being can tap in to these higher thoughts, these higher wisdoms, those flashes of ideas, but seeing that your thoughts are actually part of the manifestation. And it is to see yourself on a, there's kind of the lower self that deals with the day-to-day functioning of living life, and we eat food and we need sleep, and that's I consider that kind of the lower self, like you're just responding to what it is your body needs for functioning on the planet. And then there's this other part that's watching a Netflix show that goes, oh, this is interesting, and then connects it with the next thing. So there's this connection for you in actually manifesting things in your life. In the article, I talk a little bit about my Jonas Brothers adventure with my daughter, and how we were holding the intention to go to 45 concerts one summer, and we didn't have enough money or resources to do it. Like we were going to need to rely on some people for whatever, food, a place to sleep, things like that. And that by holding that intention, these ideas would come, and it actually was manifesting in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just a thought that I had, an intention that I had. It was actually appearing as whether it was synchronicity of talking with the drummer of the band, or just these things that were happening that feel very magical. And I want to highlight something, Ginny, maybe you were going to ask me about it, but one of the tips that I said was to stay humble. Mm-hmm. Because it's not about thinking that we are superior to other people, or that we are like the God of the world, but it's to recognize that we are powerful beings who can tap into this universal presence, and then actually create things from that space. But stay humble with that.
I
It's
appreciate
like,
that.
yeah. So it's not like, oh, look at how great I am. It's like gratitude bring in gratitude, thank you. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone has the ability. Everyone has the
Everyone has the ability.
Yeah.
Everyone. We are not superior to one another.
Yeah.
We all can do this. We all can. We all are doing this. It's just a matter of, are you conscious of it?
Yeah, we're doing it when we get stuff that we don't particularly care for.
Right. I was going to say, we're
Yeah.
doing it when we have the missteps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the be humble, and that was actually my favorite tip that you gave, because I don't think that's something I think about a lot, but it is sometimes easy for ego to kind of step in and go, "Ooh, I've got that down." And as soon as I have a thought like that, I'm humbled.
Right. And
The
ego
universe
tells
humbles
us,
me a bit.
well, and ego tells us we're better than,
Yeah.
or we're less. And ego also tells us we're less than. So neither of those are true.
Mhm.
It's that we are.
We are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about a few of the other tips that you shared. Is there another one that you particularly like? I think you shared 5 tips. I mean, you like them all, or you wouldn't have shared them, but do you think is really meaningful for our conversation today?
Well, I would say part of it also is believe it.
Mm.
Like, I do believe in synchronicity and things kind of lining up. And I do believe in timing. And so when something happens, it's not a fluke. It's not it's not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. It's actually, like, believe that you can start to connect the dots with
Mhm.
with these things.
And so many of these things, I know when before I knew any of this, I did put a lot of things, just chalked it up to coincidence. Oh, what a coincidence that person. I was just thinking about her the other day, and she called me out of the blue. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting? Without thinking, wow, was there? And I think that's another example of the quantum field. I believe I'd put an energy out, and she picked up on it. That's what I believe. And so, but before I even knew that was a possibility, I was like, oh, isn't that cool? That she did that. So I don't think it takes a huge stretch to go from coincidence to believing. Do you? Because we've
Well,
been believing in coincidences.
yeah, I know. I mean, and if you want to call it a coincidence, then just believe
Yeah.
in that. I believe in
Just
coincidences.
use it, whatever you call it, right?
Yeah, I feel like the thing that I want to just circle around right now is that to be aware, to be more aware of what's going on, it's good to have practices of listening, asking questions, having some sort of inquiry, space around that. Because if you're filled with a lot of busyness, you're going to miss some things.
So true.
You're going to miss the messages. You're going to so it's like having those practices of what that looks like, even pausing throughout the day, just moments, but practice a deeper listening. And I mean, I always say meditation, and meditation can be, honestly, can be a few minutes. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to commit to an hour practice a day or anything like that. I don't have that. I mean, and I think there are ways that we're meditating just by having some silence. Like if you're washing the dishes, do it without music on. Sometimes,
Yeah. Sometimes
take
you
a
just want
walk.
to dance while you're doing the dishes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a little dancing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then take action. I wrote take inspired action, and that's from a place of being aware. So just as I was saying about if you're in a canoe and there's a log and you can't get over it, you can't get around it, it's like, okay, then the inspired action is to go that way
Mhm.
and go with confidence in that direction
Yeah.
and go with curiosity of what is going to show up. So some of the things that I write, you'll see me write in numerous codes, and it is about the practicing deeper listening, and it is the asking questions. And yeah.
And I'm so glad you brought up curiosity, because I think that's a really big piece of it too, to just be in that place of, I think I've told you this, that I know that I say, I wonder, like
Mhm.
probably hundreds of times a day,
Mhm.
sometimes out loud, inside. I'll go, I wonder what would happen if, I wonder if that also does this. And before I realized that how much I did it and why, I'm a very naturally curious person, Dawn would start to try to answer it. And it was like, oh, that wasn't a question. That wasn't like it was a thought. I wonder, but then sometimes I'll go down the rabbit hole, if you will, to find out if my wondering has an answer. Sometimes I don't really care enough, but I think sometimes when I say it or think it, it kind of also helps me to know what matters more, to go deeper with it.
Mhm.
Because I could fill journals weekly with my I wonder questions, but I
Yeah.
think curiosity is a superpower that we all
Mhm.
have.
Yeah,
And it's just that we have to be curious about our curiosity, I guess. I don't know how else to put that,
I
but
know.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny because I spent a number of months with my grandson, who's now 18 months old, and we he loves Elmo, and we've been watching a lot of Elmo, and they have this segment that comes on almost every episode. I wonder, what if, let's try. And so I'm like, I love that that's being instilled, that
Yeah.
with problem solving, it's like Elmo gets stuck with something and then they go, I wonder, what if, let's try.
I love that. I did not know that. I don't remember if that was going on 40 years ago when my son was that
I
age,
was going to say, it's fresh material for
It's
me.
fresh material. Yeah. Oh gosh, Andrea, I love your writing so much, and I want to let our viewers know that there's a lot more in this article than what we were able to talk about today. Plus, I want to have you go wonder yourself and go read it for yourself and see what comes up for you. But how might our viewers find out more about your work?
You know what? The easiest thing is go to my website, andreahylen.com, and I have very simple way of like a drop down menu of services and offerings that are there. And I have right now a winter special for my ancestral lineage healing for anyone who would like to dive into that. December is a great time when lots get stirred up
Mm.
around family and the blessings and burdens in our families. So, they can check that out there too.
That's AndreaHylen.com, and that information is also in the text of this video. So, Andrea, leave us with a final thought that you really want us to get.
That's a good question. I feel like we've covered so much in this call. You know what? I want to say, give yourself the space
Mm.
to listen and pay attention to what is already happening right around you. So give yourself, that is such a gift to yourself, to really give yourself a little bit of time and space around that to notice.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Ginny. As always, thanks so much.
You're so welcome. And I just want to thank you again for sharing your wisdom on this whole topic of conscious self-evolution, because you and Barbara Marx Hubbard, I don't know anybody else that's really writing about it, but I also haven't been wondering too much about if anyone else is writing about it. So I haven't been looking for it, because I think you're enough. You and Barbara are enough right now for me. So thank you for that. I always appreciate your contributions to the magazine and just to my life in general. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank anyone watching for hanging out with us for the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. For more information on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and magazine, you can also click on the link in this video. And again, to read Andrea's article, go to On Purpose Woman magazine with the link. And also you can read her previous articles on this topic of conscious self-evolution if you click on the archives for the magazine. So thanks again.